Uh-oh, I got some bad news for gamers. Let's talk about it. Before that, this video is brought to you by World of Warships. World of Warships is a free-to-play game available on PC featuring 400 historical ships you can control on more than 40 maps with dynamic weather and updated new water effects to make it look better than ever. And with 44 million players plus 5 different warship classes to choose from, including the battleships, destroyers, aircraft carriers, cruisers, and submarines, whether you want to play alone or with friends, there's tons of great options to make every play session feel unique. Plus, not only is World of Warships a great-looking immersive game, but it's like a digital museum housing faithful recreations of ships from World War I and II, as well as blueprints of ships that have never been seen before. So if you're interested in battling it out in the seas and want to support the channel, click the link in the description below and use code FIRE to get a free 200 doubloons, premium Battleship USS Texas, 20 Restless Fire Camouflage, 1 million credits, and 7 days of a premium account. So over the last couple of months, GPU prices have been absolutely tanking, and it's been getting much easier to get your hands on a brand new graphics card for a reasonable price. And in fact, if you take a look especially at AMD GPUs, it's been getting a lot easier to get them actually at their original MSRP, which is an absolutely massive ordeal for gamers, as for a very long time, MSRP has been something of a myth. It's been something that we haven't actually seen. So I've been very excited to see cards like the 6700 XT and 6600 XT come in at their MSRP, and in some cases, some AMD GPUs have been below their MSRP, and Nvidia cards as well have been approaching their MSRP, with some situations where I actually would recommend some of their cards as well. So definitely a very exciting time for gamers. However, unfortunately, guys, it looks like, at least when you take a look at specific GPUs, that could end up getting a lot more difficult to get your hands on one at their MSRP. Now, we'll have to wait and see how things actually go ahead and continue forwards in terms of their pricing, as maybe the AIB models of these cards will continue to drop regardless. But yes, unfortunately, AMD released 3 new graphics cards, which normally I'd be very excited about, but this time around, they actually increased their MSRP. And to make matters even worse, if you take a look at AMD.com, it looks like, at least from everything that I can see thus far, that they basically discontinued all the various different models that they're going to be effectively replacing. Now, when it comes to AIB models, are they going to be still available? Honestly, I hope that's going to be the case, and so far it does look like these cards are going to be available in AIB models going forward, but it is technically possible that yes, AMD could go ahead and actually discontinue these cards completely, and I really hope that's not the case, because if you take a look at AMD.com, the 3 new cards I'm talking about today are the 6650 XT, the 6750 XT, and the 6950 XT. Now, these 3 cards in theory should be a great thing for gamers, because the 6950 XT in a lot of cases goes toe-to-toe with the RTX 3090 Ti, and in some cases can even potentially beat it depending on what resolution and what game you're playing at, which is just more competition, and again, is going to be a good thing for gamers. But unfortunately, they increased the MSRP on all of these GPUs. Now, first starting off with the 6650 XT, this thing was increased only by $20, so yeah, that's not necessarily a huge deal, but again, a huge disappointment considering that all 3 of these cards really don't bring a whole lot in terms of performance. They're really just a clock speed increase on the core and a slight clock speed increase on the memory as well. There's really nothing else that you're going to be getting out of these GPUs, and really nothing that you couldn't have gotten by just basically overclocking your current AMD GPU if you already have one. And then taking a look at the 6750 XT, this one is actually coming in at $550, and honestly, I find this one to be the most insulting, because at $550 to replace the 6700 XT, well, that's actually an increase in price of $70 US, which is absolutely absurd considering the very small increase in performance that you're going to be getting out of this card. Now, taking a look at the 6950 XT, finally, once again, a small increase in performance, but this time around a $100 increase over the 6900 XT. And honestly, guys, I just don't think that AMD's in a position to be charging these prices. It seems like AMD, especially Radeon specifically, seems to believe that they are just as comparable to Nvidia, and there's no reason as to why you shouldn't buy Nvidia over AMD. But unfortunately, right now, the sad reality is that's just not the case. Not only does Nvidia have some software stuff that AMD doesn't have right now, and yes, AMD is working on their software is getting much better, and I am very excited to see what they bring out with the RX 7000 series, as I believe hardware and software wise it's going to be their best generation yet. And maybe at that point, yes, they will be in a situation where yeah, they can basically charge similar prices to Nvidia if their software is just as stable, because they're going to have stuff like FSR 2.0. They're going to potentially be getting a better video encoder that's going to make it better for streamers, all that sort of stuff that people are getting very excited about. But right now, that's just simply not the case. And not only that, but AMD has a far lower market share than Nvidia, so for them to go ahead and pull stuff like this, in my opinion, is just absolutely ridiculous. And here we have another situation where I feel like AMD, all their marketing tries to make it look like they're the gamers champion, this and that, but then they go ahead and pull stuff like this where they basically just go ahead and reset the MSRP on all their cards to a higher value than they've ever been before, and it's at the worst possible time because, like I mentioned earlier, GPU prices are absolutely absolutely collapsing, so it makes no sense whatsoever to go ahead and bring these out at this point in time. So this is just another frustrating thing that's going on right now, that unfortunately right now, if you're looking for the MSRP variants of the 6700 XT and all the other cards that were available on AMD.com, I don't know if that's going to be possible anymore, especially when you take a look at the 6800 XT and the 6800. Unfortunately, if those aren't on AMD.com, you're going to have to wait a while for those things to reach their MSRP, assuming that they're still going to be creating them. So honestly, guys, I think this is a really bad move from AMD, and it just seems like Radeon keeps making mistake after mistake. They make these absolutely wonderful, awesome, amazing, just technical marvels of GPUs, but unfortunately, the business side and the marketing side of Radeon seems to always be dropping the ball and doing stuff like this that is really just anti-consumer, anti-gamer, and is going to be something that's going to really hurt their brand in the long run. Because guys, believe me, I want AMD to succeed. I want them to be a serious competitor versus Nvidia, but it seems like recently they've been doing everything they can to try and avoid competing with Nvidia, which is a terrible thing for gamers, and I think is part of the reason as to why we're seeing increasing prices on GPUs every single generation. And this is another reason as to why I'm just so hopeful that Intel finally gets their stuff together and the GPU department is able to release something really, really good, because honestly, I think this is just another sign that we do really need a third competitor in the GPU space. AMD and Nvidia just don't seem to be competing how they should. Now, hopefully the next generation this is going to change, because AMD is going to be hyper competitive in terms of performance. So as long as AMD gets their pricing right and the software right next generation, I think there is a good chance that the pricing of the next generation cards won't be that bad. I am expecting a price increase, of course, because every generation it seems like that's the trend, but we're also going to be getting a massive performance uplift at the same time. So as long as the price to performance increases at every single level, I don't think there's going to be too much we can complain about, especially if there's going to be enough availability. So honestly, guys, yeah, this is definitely not good news that they're going to be disappearing from AMD.com, at least right now. Hopefully they come back, and hopefully the AIB cards do continue to drop in price and continue to be created as well, because if AMD is trying to sell these cards right now at a higher price, it's a huge mistake in my opinion, and honestly, I think it's going to hurt their brand so much that it's going to end up pushing a lot of people away who maybe would try out their next generation of cards, and I really hope that AMD sees stuff like this and decides to reverse their course. But hey, that's just what I think. Do you think the AMD increasing prices is a good idea, or do you think it's only going to hurt the company? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below, and of course, I'll see you in the next video.
If you made it to the end of the video, be sure to drop a like. Every time you do so, AMD and Nvidia get more stock. Also, if you want to see more, click here. You won't be disappointed.